is advised.
Bila shaka mtazamaji, nilikuwa nimekuahidi kwamba kwa muda usiokuwa mrefu nitakuwa narejea hewani, ambapo nimekueleza kwamba siku ya leo kwenye kipindi cha Afya Check tunazungumzia kuhusu kupoza kwa ubongo. Kwa kimombo inafahamika kama cerebral palsy. Kama umekuwa makini kufuatilia taarifa zetu wiki jana, siku ya Jumamosi tuliweza kuzungumza na mmoja wa mlezi au mtu ambaye anaishi na wale watoto ambao wanaishi na ulemavu wa kupoza kwa ubongo, na leo mtazamaji nikaona ni bora tukimwalika daktari ambaye anauelewa zaidi kuhusiana na ugonjwa huu wa kupoza kwa ubongo. Na basi bila shaka keti kitako mtazamaji na kile yote ambao huko unaifahamu, maana leo utaweza kupata ufahamu zaidi kuhusiana na ugonjwa huu wa kupoza kwa ubongo. Kila siku naambia kwamba afya yako ni jukumu lako, lakini sisi hapa hivi kama runinga Nyota tunahakikisha kwamba tunakuletea wataalamu ambao watakuwa nakupa mwanga zaidi kuhusiana na masuala tofauti, kuhusiana na masuala ya afya. Na basi nakukaribisha ili uweze kujifunza mengi zaidi. Kupoza kwa ubongo mara nyingi na waathiri watoto wachanga humu duniani, na basi leo utakuwa unaweza kufahamu zaidi kuhusiana na ulemavu huo. Mimi ni Nahuva Zuleka, na basi nimpe fursa daktari kujitambulisha kwako mtazamaji. Karibu sana daktari.
Asante.
Uko salama?
Niko mzima kabisa.
Afya yako ni sawa?
Niko mzima, nashukuru.
Pia mimi nashukuru kuona pia unavyozungumza mtu atajua kwamba afya ni sawa. Utatupa siri baadaye?
Kabisa.
Karibu sana, jitambulishe kwa mtazamaji.
Asanteni. Sasa kwa watazamaji wote, mimi naitwa Silas Ogola. Mimi ni mtaalamu katika sekta ya afya. Lakini kabisa mimi ni clinical officer, bachelor's degree. Kwa maelezo zaidi mtaniruhusu nitumie lugha ya Kiingereza ndipo mweze kupata ufafanuzi zaidi kulingana na ugonjwa huu vizuri. Hivyo moja kwa moja ningependa nirudishe kwako alafu tuanze.
Naam, karibu sana Daktari Silas. Natumai kwamba watazamaji wetu wataweza kupata ufahamu zaidi kuhusiana na ugonjwa huu. Moja kwa moja ningependa uweze kutupa mwanga tunapozungumzia kupoza kwa ubongo. Wengine wataita mtindio wa ubongo, kwa kimombo inafahamika kama cerebral palsy. Tunazungumzia ulemavu upi?
Yes. So jinsi nilivyowaahidi mara ya kwanza, kupoza kwa ubongo ama cerebral palsy, nitawapatia ufafanuzi kwa lugha ya Kiingereza. It's a motor dysfunction. It's a problem with the coordination of muscles and posture of a child as a result of either a damage to the developing brain or a problem with the development itself. There could be a problem during the development of the brain while the baby is still in the mother's womb. That problem will result into the baby not being able to coordinate their movement. They are not being able to coordinate their posture. They are unable to undergo the usual developmental milestones the babies usually get at certain ages. And this one is what we now call cerebral palsy. To be specific, I want to break it down so that my audience can get it clearly. Cerebellum is that part of the brain which coordinates voluntary activity, those things which are under will. You do when you want to do. So palsy simply means paralysis. It has been paralyzed. So you have got paralysis of that part of the brain which coordinates your voluntary activity. So this child, as they are being born, they already have this problem. They are unable to coordinate their muscles properly. They are unable to assume usual postures, and to some extent, some of them develop problems with speech. They don't develop speech as expected. Yeah, they delay or they have got disability. Yes.
Sasa ni ugonjwa ambao mtoto huzaliwa nao.
Tukirudi kwa hiyo upande ya chanzo chake ama jinsi tunavyopata hiyo ugonjwa.
Na samahani, ni ugonjwa au ni ulemavu?
Ni ulemavu. Actually ni ulemavu, si ugonjwa. Ukirudisha nyuma kwa vile tunapata hii ulemavu, si lazima mtu azaliwe nayo. Mtu anaweza ipata kwa hiyo process ya development, wakati ubongo ya mtoto inatengenezwa kule kwa tumbo ya mama, inaweza kosa kudevelop vile inafaa, kwa hivyo atazaliwa nayo. Lakini kuna wale ambao watapata shida wakati wa kuzaliwa, labda during the process of delivery they have a problem with their placenta detached earlier, so they don't get sufficient supply of oxygen to their brain. Their brain become dysfunctional in the process of delivery. Still they will develop a cerebral palsy. In that case they acquired it through the process of birth. Some of them will be delivered normally, they will have normal birth processes, but still they will develop cerebral palsy later as a result of an insult or injury to the brain, physical injury to the brain later after they have been born. So there are those who are being born with due to a problem with development of the brain itself. There are those who are acquiring this problem in the process of delivery. Then there are those who are acquiring this problem as a result of either any form of injury to the brain after delivery. Yes.
Na je, kuna uwezekano mtu mzima ambaye labda na miaka 18 kuendelea akapata ulemavu huu, au kuanzia miaka 10 wakati tayari ashaacha kuwa mtoto mchanga sasa amekuwa mtu mzima?
Sana sana hii ugonjwa inashika watoto wadogo. Actually the diagnosis, usually we make that diagnosis at the age of 12 months to 18 months. That's when we usually make that diagnosis, because earlier than 12 months, most children usually present the same. Whether they are disabled or not, you might not be able to detect. But once they are past 12 months, you expect certain fine motor skills. You expect babies to start developing those fine motor skills. So you see a baby who is unable to, at 12 months, they are still unable to crawl. They are still just floppy. They are unable to sit on their own. They are unable to make those sounds which you expect babies to make at 12 months. Then you'll be able to make that diagnosis. Earlier than that, it's difficult to make the diagnosis. But with the current advancement of technology, we can diagnose the condition as early as between 3 to 6 months. We can do scans like MRI. We can do general motor assessments to assess the baby and ascertain whether they have already developed the disability earlier before 12 months. Yes.
Na akiwa tumboni mwa mama?
Hawezi kudhibitisha kama you cannot tell if a child has got cerebral palsy before birth, and even before 3 months it's hard, because we usually follow that. We usually follow the babies through the developmental milestone charts to see if they're really acquiring those milestones which you expect them to acquire at specific ages. Like for instance, you find a baby who is 3 months old, you expect them to have attained a social smile. At least ukiangalia huyo mtoto una expect kwanza kwamba anaweza, if you make faces they are able to follow, anaweza make face. At 3 months again, you expect a baby to be able to achieve control of their head. Ukimlaza chini unaona anaweza inua kichwa at 3 months. So you find that there is a baby who is unable to control their head at 3 months. They're unable to actually have a social smile at 3 months. Then as early as that time, you'll be able to tell that this baby has got high likelihood of developing cerebral palsy, or already they have cerebral palsy, but it's just a matter of time so that you'll be able to ascertain and say that this baby actually has got cerebral palsy.
Na wakati mama mjamzito anakwenda pale hospitalini kufanyiwa ile CT scan kuona labda ile jenda ambayo mtoto anayo, hawezi kudhibitisha kwamba mtoto yule labda ameweza kupatikana na ule ulemavu?
Actually, ulemavu sana sana the diagnosis is clinical. Clinical means it's based on the behavior of the child. So you can't tell when the child is still intrauterine, when the child is still in the womb. You cannot be able to tell. But once the baby is born, you can follow through with the usual normal developmental milestone to make a diagnosis. But the cause of the disability can happen before birth, as early as when the child's brain is developing. There can be an abnormal development of their brain, and in that case they will develop cerebral palsy from that abnormality of development. As the brain is forming in the womb, it doesn't form as expected. So the child lacks ability to coordinate or to control their posture and movement and things like that. But at the same time, the way I told you, it can be acquired throughout from the time of intrauterine period when the baby is still in the womb, at delivery, during those processes of delivery, even after delivery, if there is a trauma or injury or even an infectious process like meningitis, or children who develop a condition we call jaundice, you find that a baby has been born, their liver is not yet mature to handle products of breakdown of red blood cells. So those products build up in their blood because of the immature liver, they accumulate in their brain, they cause what we usually the baby starts turning yellow, what we call jaundice. Then that pigment which makes the baby turn yellow accumulates in the brain. It damages the brain. Then the baby acquires a disability out of the effect of that product of breakdown of red blood cells. So it's something which can be acquired in the womb, during the birth process, and even after birth. But you cannot really tell before the baby is born whether they have cerebral palsy or not.
Mara nyingi watu hukosa kuelewa utofauti wa autism na cerebral palsy. Ningependa tu uweze kutupa utofauti wa ulemavu huu hizi mbili.
Yes, cerebral palsy, like I put it out earlier in the definition. It's a paralysis of that part of the brain which controls voluntary activity like movement, speech, and things like that. So it's more of a problem with movement, muscle tone, speech, things like that. But autism is a social disorder. The child may not have a physical deformity. They might just be well children who are able to coordinate movements well. They are able to assume usual normal postures, but they have got social problem interacting with their colleagues and people. Yeah, it's basically a social issue, autism. But cerebral palsy, it has got movement and posture aspect in it. Yeah, all of them are a spectrum of brain disorder resulting from a damage into specific areas of the brain, but one is purely social. The other has got an aspect of physical disability in it. Yes.
So zote zinaathiri ubongo.
Ubongo, yes.
Na je, kuna aina ya kupoza kwa ubongo au viwango za kupoza kwa ubongo?
Yes, that's a very good question. There are 3 distinct types of cerebral palsy, and the 4th type is a mixed picture, which you get all the three together, I mean. The first one, medically, we describe it as a spastic cerebral palsy. I'll just highlight all of them, then describe. There is a spastic cerebral palsy, then there is what we call dyskinetic cerebral palsy, then we have got what we call ataxic cerebral palsy, and then there is the 4th one, which is a mixed picture of all the 3. So for a spastic, in medicine, when we talk about spasticity, we talk about rigidity. We are referring to rigidity. Yes. So the spastic type, you find a child who is involuntarily having their muscles just stiff. They are unable to control them. A child, you find, for example, the one hand or both, or even all the limbs, they're just rigid. They are unable to assume certain usual postures. That one we call spastic cerebral palsy. It's about rigidity. Their limbs are just rigid. They are unable to coordinate or control them. Yeah. Then for dyskinetic, they might not be rigid. They just have normal muscle tone like me and you, or like a baby of their age. But they are unable to achieve certain fine motor skills. Like you find a child who is unable to control their saliva, they're just drooling all through. You find a child who is unable to write. They are able to coordinate as they achieve that, as they attain that age when they're expected to have been able to to write. You find the baby is not able to write. But during their neonatal period, that is below 28 days and even below 1 year, they just do every other thing like a normal child does. But when you now expect them to attain certain fine motor skills, they're unable to do them. Yeah. So that one is called dyskinetic. Dys in medicine means an abnormality. Kinesia refers to movement. So it's an abnormality of movement. They're just okay. You can't look at them and say that they have a problem or they have a disability. But you give them a task to do. They're unable to do it as a child of their age. That one is dyskinetic cerebral palsy. Then we have ataxic. Ataxic basically is a problem with the posture. They assume some bizarre or weird postures, but otherwise they're just okay. You find that child is unable to maybe walk. They're unable to walk as we expect them to walk, or they're unable to sit, or they're unable to crawl. Basically because they don't have that balance. The muscle is okay. They are not rigid. They are not too weak, but they can't just attain balance, and they can't just assume normal posture. Otherwise, they would be okay if they be able to achieve the two. So that one we call ataxic, a problem with balance. Then the fourth one, which is the last, a picture whereby they sometimes have rigidity. The first type I described as spastic type. Sometimes you see them, they are unable to achieve those fine motor skills, so there is an aspect of dyskinetic aspect. Then at the same time, you find that at some point they are unable to balance their body properly. So both the three are cutting across in this child. That child has got a mixed picture of cerebral palsy. Yes.
Na je, kwa hizi aina zote za kupoza kwa ubongo, kuna yote ambayo inaweza kuzuilika?
It's a spectrum of disease. We can prevent children from developing cerebral palsy for those which were acquired by birth, during birth and after birth. Those ones can be prevented. But this earlier one, which is acquired during development in the womb, you cannot prevent it because it has got a genetic aspect. It is genetical. So you can't really modify genetics of a mother or a child while still there in the womb. But you can...
Unaposema ni genetic, ina uwezo kwamba ukairithi kutoka kwa mzazi?
Yeah, kuna uwezekano. Kuna uwezekano mkubwa sana mtoto akaipata kutoka kwa mzazi.
Nini inasababisha? Huenda yule mzazi ana trait ya cerebral palsy au vipi?
Yeah, ni hivyo. Mzazi yuko tu sawa, yuko tu mzima wa afya. Hata ukimwangalia the posture is just okay. You can't really tell they have got that trait of cerebral palsy, but they have certain I can say certain predisposition to developing. They get a child, and that child has got an aspect of genetic they pick from the mother, which makes them have cerebral palsy. Not just the mother, parents. Because children are formed from both mother and father. So they have picked it from one of their parent or even both. Now they have developed an abnormality in the part of their brain, and that abnormality is making them to be disabled. They have acquired cerebral palsy through that. That one cannot be prevented. The ones which can be prevented are the ones acquired during the process of birth and even after birth. Because if you assign a mother, first of all, to prevent it, you must let the mother to go through the antenatal care clinics and to be attended by a qualified medic during their antenatal care clinics. So that one is the first step towards prevention of cerebral palsy. Let the mother receive the care they need during pregnancy. Then during pregnancy, diagnose early and treat those diseases which can cause problems with development of the baby while in the womb. Because those diseases which are able to cause problems with development of the baby in the womb have ability to cause cerebral palsy. Because once the brain develops abnormally, you end up with cerebral palsy patient or child. Then again, during delivery, make sure that the birth attendant is skilled so that they are able to monitor the progress of mother's labor, detect problems early and intervene so that there is not breakdown in that continuity and the baby is delivered safe. Then after delivery, you diagnose and treat early childhood diseases so that they don't result into disabilities. Yeah, you diagnose early and treat. You prevent them from progressing into permanent disability. There is a very important aspect of cerebral palsy that I think I didn't mention earlier. Cerebral palsy is a permanent disorder, is a permanent disability. Once you have it, you cannot be treated. But it's non-progressive. That's the beauty of this disability. It doesn't progress. The specific one that you had while you are diagnosed, it cannot get worse. It can only get better if therapy has been done correctly. Yes.
Ni ugonjwa ambao utaishi na ni ulemavu samani ambao utaishi nao hadi kifo.
Yes.
Na wale watoto ambao tayari washazaliwa au wamegunduliwa na ugonjwa huu wa kupoza kwa ubongo, wana uwezo wa kuishi kwa miaka ngapi? Au wataishi kama mtu wa kawaida hadi ile siku ambayo Mungu ataamua kuwachukua?
Yes. I haven't heard of life expectancy or something like that specific to children who have got this disability. They just live their life as we do, and their lifespan or expectancy is just as ours. Yes, only that theirs is now packed with challenges here and there because of that the disability that they have. Yes. Yes, but
so kuhusiana na miaka ni dhana tu.
Yes.
Yes. Ni huduma gani au ni huduma zipi maalum ambazo wale watoto wanapaswa kupokea?
Once a child has been diagnosed with cerebral palsy, we usually book appointments with them for physiotherapy sessions, for occupational therapy sessions, and they also need nutritional support. So these children, they benefit a lot from what we call physical therapy. Therapy towards trying to get their muscles back to usual strength. Because the problem sometimes you find is just muscle strength. They are too weak. So if you take them through some regular physiotherapy session, they regain that muscle strength, and they are able to adjust better to daily activities. That's called occupational therapy. So they really need occupational therapy to improve their quality of life. But we cannot say that occupational therapy will cure them. It's not curable, but you can improve their quality of life through occupational therapy so that they adapt to daily activities. They be able to feed themselves, they be able to move around or about, they be able to do those activities based on their individual needs. Actually, all of them, each and every child with cerebral palsy has got needs unique to them. You can't say that all of them require this kind of treatment. Yes.
Wana utofauti.
Yeah, wana utofauti. Yeah. Then the physiotherapy deals with muscle strength, those who are weak. Occupational therapy help them adapt to the daily activities, daily life activities they're expected to meet. Then nutritional therapy is aimed to prevent them from acquiring diseases that might worsen their situation. Because I told you this condition, it doesn't worsen on its own. But if a child is malnourished, out of that malnutrition, their health is likely to deteriorate, not because the disease is progressive, but because they don't get proper nutrition. And again, nutrition as it is also boosts the babies. It boosts energy requirement. For example, the first type of cerebral palsy that I described, the spastic type, you find that the child all of the time, their muscles are rigid. That requires a lot of energy. So that energy, it can only be gotten through diet. So if the child is undernourished or malnourished, you find that they get exhausted and they are unable to live a better quality of life just because they are not well nourished.
Yes. Na nini inaleta utofauti ya kwamba unavomhudumia mtoto huyu ambaye ana ulemavu wa kupoza kwa ubongo na yule mwingine pia anao, nini inaleta utofauti ya jinsi ambavyo unawashughulikia?
Vile nimekueleza, kila mtoto ambaye ako na cerebral palsy ako na needs which are unique to them. So Tofauti ni kwamba mtoto mwenye ako sawa, a child who is just okay. They are independent. A child who is okay is independent in terms of what they do, how they live their daily life. But a child who is having cerebral palsy, they need almost 24/7 caregiving. So you have to be there for them to be able to do what you expect them to do. So that's the difference between a child who is normal and a child who is, I don't say a child who is having cerebral palsy is abnormal, but a child who is physically okay and a child who has cerebral palsy, the need is depending on the type of cerebral palsy that they have.
Yes. Na kuna chakula speciali ambao wale watoto wanapaswa kupewa?
It's just a balanced diet. Yes, it's just a balanced diet. Yeah.
Aha, na je, ningetaka tu tukimalizia, ni msaada upi jamii, serikali au wale walezi ambao wanaishi na watoto hawa wanaweza kuwapea ili posa waweze kuwa wakiwa salama na pia wawe wenye afya bora?
Yes, the National Council, the government of Kenya through the National Council of Persons with Disability has special programs which supports these children or babies, and even as they grow into adulthood. There are programs which are meant to support them financially as people living with disability, and also to support them with what we call equipment which aid them with their day-to-day activities, like walk aid, wheelchair, and so on and so forth. The National Council on Persons with Disability have got a special program which they register, and they are being assisted in one way or another, financially or with those walking aids.
Yes. Na watoto wenye hali hii wana uwezo wa kwenda shuleni na wakashika zile vitu ambazo mwalimu anafunza pale shuleni kama mtoto wa kawaida?
Yes, wako na uwezo wa kwenda shuleni kusoma na kufuzu katika sekta tofauti. Isipokuwa hao watoto, they have got their schools are made special in such a way that we must integrate their academic goals with physical therapy intervention. So you try to impart knowledge to them, at the same time you try to support their physical disability, so that you achieve both, because they go hand in hand. You want to make this child to achieve, you want them to grow, you want them to be physically better, at the same time you want them to learn. So their schools are meant in such a way that they support both the two. They go to the ordinary schools, but the specific departments assigned to them has got capacity to do the tailored learning that I'm talking about, where you are supporting them physically and at the same time you are educating them. Yes.
Na labda utupe kauli yako ya mwisho kuhusiana na ulemavu huu wa kupoza kwa ubongo, na pia mtazamaji wapo angetaka kuja kupata maelezo zaidi, labda kuna mlezi au mzazi ambaye anaishi na mtoto ambaye amepoza ubongo, atakupata wapi? Na pia kauli yako ya mwisho, karibu.
Yes, ya mwisho kabisa, I would want to state the following. This one is a lifelong disability, so the parent or the caregiver must just learn the unique need of their children and be able to support them as required, because emotional support, nutritional support, physical support, all of them are very important for this child, so that they don't feel isolated and stigmatized. Then we have a special provision for these children. Actually, I work at Oasis Multi-Specialty Hospital, Kakamega, and at Oasis there is physiotherapy department which handles such kind of babies who have got cerebral palsy. We have got special packages for them. At the same time, the hospital supports home-based care. So if you have got a child who has cerebral palsy and you are unable to access care, the facility can assign you a specialist, a physiotherapist, to come see your child, support them in occupational therapy, support them in physical therapy, massage, and try to help them catch up with the ordinary daily activity. If you want to access me, actually at Oasis Multi-Specialty Hospital. That's where I'm based. You can come to the hospital, you can contact the hospital through its official contact information. You can also contact me through my personal number so that we can have a chat or a conversation about this condition and see how we can help your child. Yes. Yes.
Na asante sana Daktari Silas, na nashukuru sana kwa kutupa maelezo yanayofaa na pia kutupa mwanga kuhusiana na swala zima ya ugonjwa wa ulemavu wa kupoza kwa ubongo. Natumai ya kwamba mtazamaji pia umeweza kujifunza zaidi kuhusiana na ulemavu huu. Pia mimi upande wa kwangu nimejifunza sana kuhusiana na ulemavu huu, na natumai ya kwamba jinsi ambavyo daktari ametueleza, iwapo wewe ni mama mjamzito, hakisha kwamba unaweza kwenda pale hospitalini kuanzia inapaswa kupewa kwa yule mama mjamzito, ili tuweze kuepukana kumzaa yule mtoto ambaye anazaliwa akiwa na ulemavu huu. Na pia wakati ambapo tayari ushamjifungua, kisha kwamba unafuata maagizo ya daktari, wapo unapaswa kupeleka mtoto wako kliniki kwa wakati unaofaa, kisha kwamba unafanya vile ili kuzuia swala hili ya ulemavu wa kupoza kwa ubongo na pia magonjwa mengine ambayo labda huenda yakasababishwa na wewe kukosa kufuata maagizo ya daktari. Na basi mtazamaji, kufikia hapo hatuna la ziada na kikomo ya kipindi cha Afya Check. Tukutane wiki ijayo mtazamaji, ili kujifunza zaidi kuhusiana na masuala na afya. Na kila siku tunasema kwamba afya yako ni jukumu lako. Mimi ni Nahuva Zuleka, nimekuwa naye Daktari Silas kutoka hospitali ya Oasis kule mjini Kakamega. Natumai kwamba siku nyingine itapata fursa kumwalika aje azungumzie swala nyingine kuhusiana tu na masuala ya afya, na kutakia utazamaji mwema na mchana mwema. Kwaheri.
Louis as we raise very brilliant.